Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Wake the Future. And today, this is going to be one of two parts of a companion series that we're doing where we interview each other, basically to give you a little bit more insight into who each of us is. So I don't know which order you're watching this in, but today we're going to find out a little bit more about who is Erica. Now, of course, listen, I, again, let me introduce myself. I'm Jared. Erica is my wife and my business partner. So I think I know pretty much everything there is to know about her, but you never know. Maybe we'll dig up some
Unearth
interesting,
something juicy.
yeah, like an archaeologist, we'll dig up some interesting insights here today. And more than anything, it's just to have some fun and give you a little bit of a perspective on kind of the people here that are doing this. So it's great to be here with you, my delightful wife and business partner.
Thank you so much.
We've never really done anything like this where we interview each other, but I think this is a lot of fun. So I want to get started by just having you kind of give you a chance to introduce yourself to everybody. Tell us kind of what brought you to where you are today. As we launch this project, just tell us like the byline, who you are, what you've done for your career so far, and kind of what brought you to this point.
Yeah, so hello everyone. Erica Orange, esteemed futurist. No, I've been doing this work for the better part of 2 decades. And we started out as a family business. We always joke, there's no separation of church and state. And it's always the chicken or the egg question, because, it's like, did our marriage come first? Did working together come first? And what feels like a million years ago, I started out in DC working in public policy for what was then the E911 Institute in the days of VoIP and emergency communications. And
Wow,
again, like never
esoteric and nerdy, but I love it.
And I always joke, it's like at 25, I hit my quarter life crisis. I had moved from DC to New York, and it feels so trite then, but in your early to mid 20s, everything feels so big. And I was like, what am I going to do with my life? I don't want to live in DC anymore. I don't want to do this work. What is it that I want to do? And it was your mother who, this little side fact, everyone, founded our business almost 50 years ago. And we've transformed it in a lot of ways. But she was always a very powerful female mentor to me.
The oracle herself,
yes.
Right? Yeah.
And I remember sitting down with her, and I was like, I love putting the puzzle pieces together. I like thinking analytically. And she's like, for all the years you've known my son, you don't know that that's what we do as a business? Come on in. And I was like, oh, shit, I'm going to come into this family business. You weren't even working there at the time.
That's one of the coolest things. Again, like what we're doing with this project, a lot of it is going to be an extension of and a separation from what we have historically done for work. But what's interesting is when people find out we're a family business, is that even though it's the second generation of my family that was sort of a business that was the catalyst for all of this, Erica joined the business before I did officially. So you've got more runway with this business than I do.
Yeah.
So,
and I remember sitting on the couch, and she told me, she was like, take the next 3 to 5, and I'm thinking months, 3 to 5 months. She's like, 3 to 5 years, and train your brain. Train your brain to spot the patterns, read, absorb, right? I've talked about my love of the Venn diagram before. It's like, just look at all those intersections. And she's like, you did that through kind of a political and a policy lens without even really knowing it. Do that when it comes to kind of a thinking about the future lens. And I did. It was like kind of face down, did my studying, started putting all these pieces together. And then it was over all of the years, and now what has kind of snowballed into what feels like decades of then
time flies when you're having fun.
Oh, yes, so much fun. But really just honing in on like, what is it that I do? What is my voice? Yeah. What is my unique voice in this space? And really working very hard to carve that out.
Which is amazing. And I've seen your personal growth over the last couple of decades. And, I take a lot of pride in watching you become who you are today. Because again, aside from being business partners, we're husband and wife. And, I'm going to, a shameless plug for Erica here. But Erica, if you haven't seen her, is a world-class speaker. She gets on a stage and just commands it and is brilliant. But more than anything, I think of like Russell Crowe in A Beautiful Mind, when he's like spinning around and the numbers are flying out of his head and all of those symbols. And it's the idea that like your brilliance is conventional, but also unconventional. Like the way you think in Venn diagrams, the way that you think in terms of creating acronyms for really complex things. Like it's just the way your brain works. It's a beautiful mind. And so
I do love my acronyms.
no, it's so much fun to see. So it's great to see where you are today. Now, of course, that leads me to a follow-up question, because we talk all the time about how we were as kids.
Yeah.
Could you, as a little girl, have even possibly fathomed that you would be doing what you're doing today? And for example, speaking on a stage, in front of like 1,500 people. Like, is that something,
Yeah.
or writing a book? Would you as a little girl have even believed that is possible? And then the follow-up question to that is, when you were a little girl, what did you think you'd be doing?
Yeah. So, you asked that question and it goes right here. It's actually like, I feel it. I feel it deeply when you say that, because my biggest struggle was always finding and owning my voice. And I still have those moments, but I don't feel it as viscerally now. And I always go back. And if my mom is watching this, she's going to laugh, because she always likes to quote my kindergarten report card. And it now infamously said, because I did a whole LinkedIn post about it, which is, Erica has great ideas if only she learned how to share them. And it became kind of a joke in our household, but it started really informing my psychology, which was, I did have a lot of great ideas, but I lived almost exclusively in my own head.
You definitely don't suffer from that now, I'll tell you that much.
Well,
you share everything, and that's, but I'm saying that, and it's amazing to see that.
It was purposeful. It was because I knew that I wanted to share things, but I needed to really get out of my comfort zone, face my fears, right? All of those cliche things where it's like just learning by doing.
Yeah.
And no, young me, like when I have conversations with young Erica, right? Like going back to, like, let's say 8-year-old me, there's absolutely no way. I mean, I was almost crippled by nerves in a college debate class. I took a public speaking class in college and didn't even show up. And, again, 30 years later, not quite, I could never have imagined this, but it was because I put myself in very uncomfortable situations. And over those years of developing my voice, my content, my unique point of view, leaning into, right, my authenticity, knowing that I might be up there and I'm not the most polished person. I'm not, I might trip over my words. I might do this or that, but it's so uniquely me. And instead of being ashamed of it, it's something that I really leaned into. So again, in those conversations with young Erica, I'm like, no, believe in the power of your voice, believe in your strength, believe in what you can accomplish. Like, those great ideas don't just live inside of your head. They are meant to be shared. So it's something that, like, each and every part of me feels this so deeply. But I also at the same time loved being on stage. Yeah. But it was always kind of playing a character. It wasn't me. So it was like, I was a musical theater kid. I was a choir kid. I loved performing. So it's interesting because my nerves were never being in front of people or being on stage. It had everything to do with owning who I was and increase, like, and still who I am. So young me, even like in an interesting paradox, like, wanted to be a singer-songwriter, wanted to stand up there and like sing and dance.
Is that kind of what you?
Show.
Is that kind of what you envision yourself doing when you were older? Were you thinking like maybe I'd be an entertainer or something creative?
I mean, again, it's like everything became so compartmentalized because part of me still thrived up there, but then I was so in my head that and then really struggling with my own sense of self. It's like, who am I? What do I really love? What am I passionate about? And I always felt like there was something wrong with me because it was like, oh, my best friend knew exactly what she wanted to do and who she wanted to be. And then you'd hear people, it's like, oh, I'm going to study this, or I came from a family of doctors. I'm going to go down this line. For me, there was never a clear path, but I was a creative kid. I was an imaginative kid. I loved to play. I always acted out like scenes from like musicals with my teddy bears. So it was one of those things where I think I always had it really down deep. I just never knew how to really own it. It came down to ownership.
Which is really cool. I mean, I think that's one of the things, admittedly, that has drawn us together as people.
Yeah.
Is, you know, you meet all these people, for better or worse. Sometimes I admire them. They knew what they wanted to do. They took a conventional career path. They studied for it, you know, whether it's becoming a doctor or a lawyer. And you're like, man, that was simple and clean. And you and I think both never knew exactly what we'd become. I don't think, even though it was my family business, I don't think
Yeah.
you and I, either one of us, certainly not both of us, envisioned we would be futurists. And what the heck would that mean? So here we are today, and I see how you have developed into what you've developed into. It's really awesome. So it's cool to hear a little bit of that journey. So you kind of answered another question, which I was going to ask, which is, what would you say to your younger self as like a piece of advice, or just like, you know, from my life experience, here's what I have to give to you. But you kind of answered it in that.
And it is. It's like, you are valuable, and what you bring to this world is worthwhile.
Yeah.
And to just have the kind of the confidence to really own, even if, and so many kids and grown-ups still like always struggle. It's like, who am I? Right? It's such a deep existential question of like, what drives me? What motivates me? Like, who am I on a deeper level? And like, we're all trying to figure that out. But I would say to young me, like, share what you know.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid. Like, there's no judgment. And again, it just comes down to, I just want to sometimes shake her and be like, effing own it.
I love it.
Own it.
I love it. And you know what's cool about this is like,
you are talented and you are smart. Own it.
this ties into why we're doing what we're doing and some of the themes we're going to talk about. We enter this world now where I think we're going to be reinforcing, you wrote about it in your book, the fact that skills that make us uniquely human are going to be incredibly important, less than credentials. And you're talking about the fact that you had certain innate skills that you've learned through the course of your life to lean into. And I've also come to understand the same thing.
Yes.
So telling people out there who might have a professional job right now that you might have to pivot in the future, and it's going to be what's in between here, less the credentials or the experience you have thus far that's going to matter. You're a walking example of that. I mean, you're manifesting that.
Well, and the other thing, and we've talked in prior episodes, and we will continue to talk in future episodes, really about this move to more wisdom-based work. And increasingly, younger generations are not going to be able to cleanly answer the question, I am a fill in the blank, because those traditional job titles are going to begin to disappear. As you said, I mean, as skill sets and traditional competencies, as all of these things become inverted, it's a, what do I want to be when I grow up? That question is going to be so multifaceted.
What do I want to be when I grow up again? And then again, I grow up again. And again. And I grow up again. It's going to happen like 5 times in a lifetime. That's so daunting in a way, but at the same time, it's also exciting because the certainty isn't there anymore. But on the other hand, the opportunity is.
Right.
So it's like you're not locked into something that you might resent, but you still have to always challenge yourself to reinvent yourself. It's so cool. So that leads into my next question. It's kind of 2 questions in one. What do you like to do when you're off the clock? What are your hobbies, interests? What are you passionate about? And then maybe related to that, what of those things, or maybe separately, do you draw inspiration from to give you the creative genius that makes you who you are?
Yeah, so those that know me well, obviously you being a number one, know that I love nature. I love to go hiking. For like people getting to know me, it's confusing because I also love designer shoes. So it's like an interesting, like the 2 ends of the spectrum where like I like to wear really nice shoes and I also can put on my hiking boots and get dirty. And it's like the, the 2 sides of me. And I was recently giving a presentation and I got asked such a great question. I love the question because she's like, you exist and you think so much in the future. Like, how do you stay grounded in the present? And I'm like, I wrote this entire presentation, like just having downloads in the woods, where I'm able to clear my head, be outside, and oftentimes I'm not even listening to music. It's just like the silence and the stillness. Then it's like something will just come to me. And I've written and then I'll come home and put it into like a PowerPoint deck. And even in writing the book like 1.5 years ago, now almost 2 years ago, so much of that just started coming to me in moments of silence outside. And some of them actually happened because of inspirations that I would get from songs that I would hear. Because, like a lot of mornings I'm doing bar, not going to the bar.
Yeah.
And I've had
Well,
to define this. Like
sometimes
bar,
going to the bar, I don't know.
any woman out there knows. It's kind of like bar, Pilates, yoga. It's like a whole thing. So I would hear a song and I'm like, oh shit, I got to go write this down. So it's in those moments. It's rarely like, it's never when I'm like at a conference or in a meeting, but it's in those moments of solitude. I'm a very like solitary thinker in those ways. And I love to travel. I love experiencing new cultures. I love wine. I love food. I love to travel as a family. Obviously, the three of us have had amazing adventures. The two of us have had amazing adventures. And I've had my own great solo adventures because I travel so much for work. You know, it's not happening every place I go, but if I go somewhere really cool, like when I went to Lima this year and I was able to explore Peru, you know, one of my favorite countries ever, on my own for a few days, it was awesome. Like I was going and I was looking at street art. Then I would stop and I'd have a pisco sour, and then I would go and I called you from that artisan collective where I was buying
FOMO. I had real FOMO that day.
I was buying like my alpaca stuff and my pottery, and it's the juxtaposition, I think, of all of these things that like it's just like drawing from each little column.
I love it. And, you know, I've seen the difference. You know, we moved obviously out of New York City, the center of the city, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I know, you know, and a little bit of an insight into you as well. I know that, you know, for a while it was an adjustment for you escaping the kinetic energy of the city because that was your social center and that was where you derived a lot of your energy from. And that's a big adjustment for anyone to leave a city of that magnitude and downshift considerably.
Yeah.
And you and I've talked about the pluses and minuses of downshifting. But where I think you had to make an adjustment socially, and now you've kind of hit your stride.
Yeah. For any of the women watching, you'll get it. I was like, I miss a good like Sunday boozy brunch with my girls, and I was romanticizing. Right? It's like I'm going to this rooftop, or I'm gonna like go meet someone, like a girlfriend, and do like Monday afternoon shopping. And you'd be like, well, you're a mother now, and like you're traveling and working, and how often are you?
But I mean, all of that stuff you're just talking about. Yeah, we sacrifice some of it until you find your lane where you relocate to. But I saw from day one. Even during the pandemic, I saw from day one is Erica would retreat to her office, which was really a home office that we had when we moved into our home. Erica claimed it. I don't even use it anymore. We used to call it our office. It's Erica's. And I call it Erica's mad scientist lair because she's been using that for 5 years. She goes in there and has just elevated her game, like exponential growth as far as your ability to do what you do well. And I think part of it's because now you have access to quiet. You have access to nature.
It makes
the things you were just talking
difference.
about, I've seen how that resonates with you, and that's a really cool part of you.
Thank you.
So that's awesome. Now, I do have a few more questions for you. Let me pull from that answer of all the places you've traveled to. Give me one or two in particular that you love the most and why.
Yeah, I mean, I just mentioned one, and that is Peru. And I obviously, right, like I got to explore it for a few days on my own this year. But when we went, because it is the coming together of everything that I find like amazing and magical and mysterious. So, like, who built this shit? Right? Like going to Machu Picchu and just like asking those questions of like, what are these mysteries? How was this built? This doesn't make any sense, but this is also just absolutely magical. I felt an energetic shift there. The people were amazing.
Remember, my phone and computer stopped working.
Yes.
I was like, this is very strange. But beyond that, spiritually, yes.
Yeah. I mean, the altitude, I was hiking and I couldn't breathe and I didn't care. It was just so like otherworldly in a lot of ways. And I absolutely loved it. And I cannot wait until, you know, our son's old enough where we can take him there to experience a lot of it. That was obviously one of my favorites.
I love Peru too. It was great.
Yeah. And I mean, I can go on and on.
We've been blessed to go to so many amazing places. And you say, who built this shit? You know, not that long ago, if you were to suggest, oh, maybe there was some involvement from something else, someone came from somewhere else to help with this, you would have been labeled crazy. Now, It's mainstreaming, even with major government officials.
Yeah.
Like, okay, there might be things that happened there that explain what happened in Peru, what happened in Mexico. You know, it's funny. I remember
Oh my God,
one
when
of
we
our
went
other
to
trips.
Turkey, when we
Oh,
went to, I'm going to really nerd out here for a second. When we went to Kaymakli and Derinkuyu, the underground cities,
yeah,
where it's like, light didn't exist. Like all of these technologies did not exist back then.
Right.
And then we're like, where the are
there
we?
there
What is
was no
this?
electricity, and you're too deep into the earth to have access to enough air to be able to power flame
Yes.
for extended periods of time, and yet they were living in and building these it just like ant colony places. It doesn't make any sense. But the bottom line, it's funny because I remember a funny memory was when we were in Mexico on a touring ancient ruins, and there was the human explanation was given for how these things were built. And you and I looked at each other and we're like, that makes no sense. Humans did not build this with their own wisdom and architectural knowledge back then. Something was going on.
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
Those,
So
you know, I totally geek out on those
oh
places.
no, I love it.
I love
it.
those places.
Yeah.
Just because, again, like a lot of it defies traditional thought.
Yep.
I just love the mystery of all of it.
Yep.
I kind of feel like Indiana Jones there in like these handful of spots, and it's just, yeah, it's really
It's
cool.
like the intersection of history and mystery, especially, and it makes us better. I think it makes us better at projecting the future.
Yeah.
So I love that. Now, what people are going to see these episodes where we interview each other, and a lot of the questions are going to be the same, but a fundamental one that I have to ask you.
I know, because you're biting me. You're biting my questions. No, you're biting my
you're
questions.
biting me. Let's
They're
be
actually my
honest. She's
questions.
biting me.
No.
Not physically
They're
and
my
literally
questions.
biting me, but a question that we both asked each other because it's so foundational. We now have a son. He's 8 years old. When we had him, how did your perspective on the things that matter the most to you in life and to you in work change? Like, what did that do to you and to change your mindset?
Absolutely every single part of my core being shifted. So, I mean, you were with me every single step of the way in what was a 5-year fertility journey. And just speaking very candidly, as I know this affects so many, not just women, but families and couples and partners, just being faced with so much loss and never knowing that our son was going to be, he was never a given. And dealing with a lot of the grief that I housed within my own body that I am now very open to speaking about. I went down into the very dark places. But, it's interesting. It's oftentimes only in retrospect that we can like feel the power of gratitude. And now that I can look back on those years, the years where like I put my body through hell, and he was the byproduct of some modern medicine, but also a lot of fucking grit and determination.
Yeah.
It changed my outlook on everything. It changed my outlook on being a woman. It changed my outlook on the power of our partnership. It changed my outlook on all of those doubts that I had as a child that I carried through into adulthood, where the bigness of what I went through, all of that seemed to pale in comparison. That the beautiful part of that journey ended up being in the discovery of my voice, my power. I felt an internal and external power that was just beyond me. It also underscored the urgency of our work. So the gratitude then is in, obviously, first and foremost, him, his existence, the journey itself. But from kind of a work perspective, it really was such a foundational and monumental shift. A shift in not just finding my voice, but in like being a mother was such a core part of me that it was like, yeah, how I view the world shifted, how I viewed kind of my role as a messenger. And it's been a journey that honestly, like, past me would have been like, why me? Why did I have to go through this? You know, it's like that bitterness. And now I'm like, there's a beauty in it. And there is an understanding that, you know, I hate saying like everything happens for a reason, but I do. I look at him and I thank him for really just being that guiding light.
Yeah.
So I always say, and I've, you know, it's like I'm not so candid about it when I speak on stage, but when asked ever about why I do what I do, and especially, and you were there, like when I did my book launches, you know, knowing that there is no separation between who I am as a futurist and who I am as a mother.
Right.
Like these two things now are deeply and inextricably linked.
I mean, I love all of this because it hits me personally because we went through all that together, even though I can never understand from your perspective and in your body some of the stuff you dealt with. But it's a wonderful answer because you know how I mentioned earlier that when we moved, I noticed that something you leveled up. You also leveled up through no choice of your own. It was just what you had inside of you that was newly discovered. You leveled up after we went through all of that, and you went through that arduous journey of several years, and we had the payoff at the end, which is our beautiful son. He's not just one kid; he's like two kids wrapped in one.
He's a lot of child.
He's a lot of child, but he's a great kid, but a lot of child. But we had that journey. Yeah. And I watched you level up. So there's no doubt that you have taken on, that what we do and what you do is taken on added significance because I think it's more personal to you now. So it's so cool. So I'm going to wrap up my final two questions and roll them into one instead of separating them. Yeah. As you think about the future generally, as you think about the future for you, for us, and certainly for him, for our son, let's start with the not so great and end on a high note. What are the one or two things in particular that scare you the most about the future that we study and just as a person? And then flip that into what is it that excites you the most about what we study about the future and then just personally? Well,
all of you have heard me say this in one of our episodes, but I really do believe that the greatest existential threat that we are going to face now and going into the future with really no end in sight, right, is the assault on and the degradation of the truth. Yeah. And the fact that the boundaries between real, fake, true, and false are blurring. Yeah. Now, you know, we've talked about this in previous episodes. We're going to talk about this more in future episodes, but this is such a big one because our ability to prove out reality anymore and increasingly going into the future is one that is not guaranteed, right? It's like there are a lot of questions around, is this the end of reality and what that means? And I think as AI becomes more sophisticated and as AI deepfakes become more sophisticated, whether not just video, but audio, voice replication, cloning, like the end of kind of subjective truth is one of the things that really frightens me.
And that is, I mean, the way you position that, I mean, that is terrifying. Yes. But of course, we can intellectualize what might be.
It is absolutely terrifying.
But it is terrifying, yeah.
Yes. So of all the things, and it's not AI, right? It's not like what people posit as like AGI, right? Artificial general intelligence and this whole robotic takeover.
The Terminator type of scenarios.
Yeah, I really don't think we're there yet. And, you know, I think current projections are off. Yeah. And in other episodes, we can talk about why. But this whole thing of the assault on the truth is the biggest thing that scares me. Yeah. The thing that makes me optimistic about the future is human ingenuity, human imagination, human intuition. Now I'm going to take this down a little bit of a like woo-woo path for a second, but it's almost like a rediscovery of our chakras. Yeah. And all of that kind of thought around energy centers and wisdom and tapping into a collective. That was always like, all right, you know, it's either like, you know, that person's nuts with their crystals, or like, all right, it was ancient cultures. They didn't have anything else to do. They looked at the stars. And what I am most energized about when it comes to the future is the rediscovery of a lot of the ancient forms of knowing that have been coached out of us, kind of industrialized out of us, and almost a full going back in order to go forward. And perhaps all of the technological advancements that we are seeing now, while we view it as a potential curse, it might be the biggest blessing, because it will force the rediscovery of ancient forms of wisdom, ancient forms of knowing that we just lost sight of, but is so core and intrinsic and almost interwoven into our DNA, but we just consciously have put it aside.
What a cool answer. The first part of that answer was
Got
terrifying.
Dark. It got a little dark.
But that's where we're trying to go there. Like,
dark.
what scares you the most? And then I think that would scare anybody.
Yeah.
And then the second part was the exact opposite. I mean, that is so uplifting. What a great way to end this, because, you know, and we're going to talk in future episodes about the possibilities of a human renaissance, a new renaissance where, and a lot of that relates to jobs and purpose and whether or not, like, what's realistic and what's not.
Right.
But the idea that we might be, as we enter this heightened technological age, might go into a little bit of a renaissance as humanity. And right now we're kind of, I always say this, we're kind of in like a birth canal maybe.
Yes.
But we're going to work our way through it, and there's light at the end.
Yes,
there's light at the end, and that light's going to be really bright. I think that gives us hope for ourselves, for our kids, more than anything.
And you just said it, honestly. Like, the more that we can view things individually, collectively, and as families through the lens of hope, right? Like, that is really what we have to focus on designing around. Asking questions around, because once we lose hope, then that's where kind of the dark scenarios can swallow us. But if we keep hope as our North Star, that is what will insulate us and really preserve a lot of the core facets of our humanity.
I mean, here's where my cynic, as just someone who consults with businesses, comes in. It's like, good luck selling hope as a value proposition to like CEOs who are running huge companies, unless there's money attached to that. But then again, maybe as we go through this human renaissance, it'll be more of a core feature, you know? And so anyway, beyond all of that, that's such a deep existential kind of finish to a conversation, which I think was awesome. I mean, look, you're the best, and I know a lot of this about you, but even I gleaned a few insights here today. More than anything.
Oh, this is fun.
It's a lot of fun. Hopefully you got some more insights into who Erica is, because as we go forward, we're going to have a lot of these candid conversations together. So the bottom line is, again, like we always say, join us on this journey, follow, subscribe, comment below, and let's wake the future together. See you guys soon. Bye.
If you enjoyed today's conversation, like, follow, and subscribe to stay ahead of what's next. I'm Erica Orange.
And I'm Jared Weiner. Thanks for waking the future with us. We'll see you next time.